So we are on our way to being live on YouTube, and we've got 25 seconds, and we'll be live on River West. I'm excited. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks.
Perfect. Okay, so we are backstage. We are just 10 seconds away from being live on River West Radio. So please stand by as we are about to begin. Welcome to Ability MKE Now. My name is Sue Roskoff. Ability MKE Now is a show all about integration, bringing people with disabilities and people that don't have a disability together, enjoying life here in the Milwaukee area. We all have different abilities, and here at Ability MKE Now, we dive into this topic of diverse abilities. The concept of disability hits a wide range of possibilities. We could be talking about physical or mental disabilities, the deaf and hard of hearing community, blindness, chronic pain, mental health diagnosis, goals of substance use reduction, and the list goes on. We all have our own experience with disability, whether it's our own, with people we know, or with people we encounter in our daily lives. Here at Ability MKE Now, we break down the barriers and celebrate the ability in all of us. And joining us today, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Michael Martin Hummel. Michael is a writer, speaker, and podcaster who works to bridge the gap between disabled and able-bodied people. And as always, I am so glad to have you here with us, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. It's good to see you.
Always good to see you. Any news in your corner of the world?
I have my monthly show on the 25th of this month. It's a week behind because of scheduling conflicts, but I've got a full docket. There's I think 9 or 10 speakers.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I believe you say more info can be found on your Facebook group. Is that correct?
Yes. There on my Facebook, there's more information about it, and if you want, you can email me at Michael Hummel and Michael Hummel at wheelsandwarriors.com or crazylegs.9 at gmail.com. That's either one.
Excellent. And again, Michael Martin no, I'm sorry, it's Michael
Mm,
Hummel
Michael Hummel at
at
wheelsandwarriors.com. And it's the letter N, not the word N.
perfect. Wheelsandwarriors.com.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to hear more about what's all going to happen with all the speakers and all the good going on there. Amazing.
Thank you.
And we have a wonderful guest joining us tonight. I am super excited because she is a friend from actually quite a long time ago. I'm not going to admit how many years we've known each other.
Hmm.
It's been a bunch. Trey is amazing. I'm going to go ahead and bring her on in. Trey Foster is the visionary founder of ARC7 Arcology, which is a groundbreaking housing model designed to replace the isolating single-family home with an inclusive, walkable community where every generation and every ability can thrive. As an advocate for universal design and community-based living, Trey has spent years developing a blueprint for a new kind of neighborhood that supports families, empowers people with disabilities, and promotes shared ownership and opportunity. Her work bridges architecture, social innovation, and human connection, showing how thoughtful design can transform not just buildings, but lives. Through ARC7, Trey offers a clear and compassionate alternative to traditional housing and one that integrates care, employment, and belonging for all. Trey, I am so happy to have you with us today. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. With what you all are doing, I know I've heard bits and pieces along the way, and Kurt's had the privilege of more conversations with you recently than I have. But we have a lot of territory to cover here because there's so much involved in what you have going on, and we've got a bunch of questions. So first, I want to ask, why do you proclaim that the single-family dwelling is the worst part of modern community design?
Because it's so isolating and there's no place to go and nothing to do. And every need that we have means that we have to drive somewhere, which is another cost and more stress. And families with disabled members end up exhausted carrying the transportation tasks, and it could be so much simpler with a better design.
Excellent. Well, is that why you designed the ARC 7 Arcology? Because you said it includes an adult daycare center, a clinic, a church, community garden, a market, a cafe, a school, a youth center, and so many other things within walking distance.
Yes, yes, 7 centers. So yeah, that's life-changing right there. If you could step outside your front door and just go where you want to go, without long commutes or having to juggle schedules, and whatever you need is right there. And so everyone can get where they need to go independently, and even people with disabilities. So families finally get to breathe and they can just, for me, it just feels more like what my father described in Europe, is where they would just walk and they walked everywhere. They didn't need a car. And so I really like that lifestyle and the car-free kind of living.
Excellent. Well, and how does ARC 7's model of living reduce the emotional and financial strain on families that are caring for loved ones with disabilities?
Because the whole community can share the load. And instead of one family carrying it all, and everyone supports each other and knows each other, it's a place where everyone knows your name. So the burden becomes lighter.
So with universal design, is that built into the ARC 7 Arcology architecture?
Yes, universal design means that everything works for everyone. And so in Arc 7, every building has ramps, elevators, wide hallways, adaptable spaces. No one is left out. And even employment spaces are accessible. And because mobility means freedom, so that means that it's a completely different lifestyle than a single family dwelling where you're just sitting there unless you get in the car. And so when everything is accessible, that means that you don't have to depend on someone else. You can be independent. And accessible units exist in the arcology, but it's not exclusively for people with disabilities. So it's all about integration, not segregation.
I love what that's perfect. So, well, can you explain how ARC 7 makes it possible for everyone from newborns to seniors to be fully supported by that same community?
Yes, yes. I like to say from birth to death,
Mhm.
from your first breath to your last, everyone is supported. So babies in daycare, there's daycare there, and teens in a youth center, there's a youth center there, and the senior center, and adults with disabilities, there's centers that are there just to make sure that everybody has what they need and they feel supported and are supported,
So, well,
all
and
within walking distance.
do you plan, right, exactly. Well, and do you have a plan to have a center where people with disabilities in the community can live as well?
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly right. So what's naturally occurring in society right now is about I don't know what your stats are, but maybe 15-20% of people with disabilities. So I want to have at least 15 to 20% of the units in the arcology to be accessible, wide enough for wheelchairs, and the population to have about 15%, not more than the normal population, just exactly how population is anywhere. Does that make sense? Instead
It
of
does.
segregating, or instead of gathering them all in one place, and then they aren't really in a good situation or a normal situation with daily life. And so,
Yeah, because it's basically reflects everywhere else is just a different location than where everything
right.
is right there.
Right. And everybody wants that. Everybody needs that. It's not just people with disabilities that need that, especially children. Children need to grow up in that environment where they can just go where they need to go and they're always safe. So,
Excellent. So how does ARC 7 ensure that people with disabilities are happy?
exactly that. It's uh, by giving them everyone a meaningful role. And see, in a situation where you're always the recipient, it's not exactly an exciting life. But what if you are also dependent on to contribute care to others or services, whatever your capacity is or whatever you're good at, you contribute that.
Well, and you've mentioned that employment opportunities are available for different levels of ability. How does ARC 7 do that?
Um, I'd like to say there's three prongs. It's education, organization, and design. So with those three in place, you can do just about anything if you just think long enough about it and include everything that is necessary. And so through shared businesses, we own them together. And so we can create a much more tolerant environment than the competitive environment in the normal workplace. And some jobs are simple, some jobs are complex, but every skill level is needed. And so the income is shared and no one is left behind and no one is dependent.
An amazing concept. So for families who feel trapped by the limitations of traditional housing, what steps can they take to explore ARC 7 as a real option?
They can just go to arc7arcology.com and get on the mailing list, and they'll learn every step of the way where we're at in our progress. And of course, the faster we get it done, the more we can do on this earth. That's what I'm really trying to do is just get that first prototype up and running. And if anyone would like to help with that process, we'd love the help.
Excellent. So what inspired you actually to create ARC 7 and how did your personal experiences lead you to start this whole movement?
Um, well, it was something that I didn't realize I was visualizing or seeing. It was kind of like a vision since I was a teenager. And I would tell people, oh, I want to have a single mother's home or a pregnant teenager's home, or I want to have a place where vets can reintegrate into society. And I want to have and I'm saying all these things. And people out of, especially husbands, would say, kind of look at me like I just don't know what life is about because I have too many goals and too many ideas. But I could see it in my mind's eye, all these things in one central place. And it doesn't have to be that complicated if you just sit down, think about it, and say, I want to take care of every need humans have. And I want it to be duplicatable. And I want it to be affordable. It doesn't take that long. I mean, well, it took me about, well, I'm 65 now, so it took me a long time. Okay, so it does take that long, but it doesn't have to be impossible, which I think most people think it is. It's impossible to take care of everybody, and not everybody can be happy, and just make money and you'll be fine. And that's just that's the capacity that a lot of our designers have. So it's just like, for me, it just wasn't enough.
Well, so can you describe what ARC 7 arcology is and how it functions to solve so many problems all at once?
Oh, okay. So it is, if you can picture it, it's a lot of buildings Okay, if you're looking at a map, this is the map. It's buildings in a circle. And in the center, there's basically a park. And so everything in that group of buildings is walkable, walking distance. And so that you can just picture it on this map that here's the school and the daycare and the senior center and the office and everything's just situated around in a circle. And then the living spaces are on the floors above. And what that does is it makes it so that you don't have to spread out and every single family dwelling has to be taking up so much space. Instead, we can just go up just 4 stories, have everybody concentrated in a small area, and then the land can be used to grow food and have sports fields and fun things instead of covering the land with cement the way that our builders do.
Excellent. So, and I know you talk about turning consumers into producers. What does that mean, and why is that so important?
Well, when we consume only and never produce anything, it's not sustainable. And we always just have to figure out how to make money, 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 because that's the only way to get the things we need. And we've lost the most basic skills for survival, like growing food. Everything like that was already always done by the individual families and neighbors and friends, whatever they've always produced what they needed. And all of a sudden, last 100 years, we don't know how to do anything. And our people, the people born to the earth right now, thinks that's just not how you do it anymore. You go, well, yeah, it's still the way you do it. It's just somebody else is doing it, not you. So now the whole thing is we don't make anything. We just make money. And it's not that satisfying for humans to live that way.
Well, and I want to just dive in a little bit with Arc 7 itself. It's based on 7 dimensions of life. Wonder if you can explain what those dimensions are and how they work together in practice.
Okay, so 7 dimensions of life are that we all are so okay, this is the spiritual part behind it. Okay, is the practical spirituality is that we are all the same. We are all an eternal soul on a temporary quest for survival on this earth. And in order to live on this earth, we have been given a body, a mind, a spirit. So that's 4. So survival is the first one, then body, mind, and spirit. And then we're born helpless, so we need a family. The family is dependent, should be dependent on a tribe, and the tribe works together to help each other survive and thrive. And the final, the 7th one is the mission. So every single person has a mission. They need one to be happy, and we need them to have one for us all to survive and thrive. Everybody needs to be contributing something. And so by having those 7 dimensions, then you know what to build and what to support, what kind of support system we need, because we need to make sure that we have those 7 dimensions in everything we do. Does that make sense?
Amazing. And I want to take a moment, see, Michael, if have you ever heard of anything like this before? What are your thoughts as you're hearing all this?
It's interesting. I've never heard of it specifically, but my wife and I we're looking into like a little homes, but
Hmm?
they needed to be accessible for my wheelchair, so we haven't really done it. But it is an interesting thing to look into, and I
Awesome.
like the not having a car, just being able to rely on yourself, and because the people that you live with and people that you're in your that are in your family are the most important. So that is where the focus should be, rather than like like uses the money and all that stuff.
Excellent. So I'm wondering, Trey, can you share an example of someone whose life was changed after joining ARC 7 or after taking some first steps with this?
Well, my life for sure was changed. I saw this, like I said, in pieces and bits as a teenager, and all my adult life. I kept thinking I wanted to do this and that, and I kept imagining, oh, and there's a stage, and there's a place where people will come and will see us, we'll perform, and all these speakers. I would just have all these visions of this stuff, and it just sounded like maybe disorganized or just too many thoughts jumbled until recently. In fact, almost, I think it was this year, I started um, putting it in like on a diagram. Just like, okay, let me just diagram it all these ideas. I just have to put them in a diagram. And then I put it in those 7 dimensions and had them kind of categorized. And then I color coded them so I could see it on paper. And then I kind of said, oh, wouldn't it be cool if they were hexagons? I'll try that. So I made them hexagons on this, sheet of this paper. So then it finally started to take shape. And when I hooked them together and they made a circle, I just thought, oh, is this a design? I think this is a design. This isn't just like to get an idea like a pie chart. I mean, I was at first thinking it was like a pie chart to just show all the various aspects that I wanted to include. But as I did it, it became a floor plan. And now it's a building plan. It's very exciting. So my life for sure has changed. But then on the other hand, the people that have gone through the training, the majority of the people who have gone through training were in Africa. And those lives changed very drastically. And I'm afraid I'm running out of time here to answer your question. How are we doing on time?
Yeah,
We're
like
good. We got a few minutes.
9 minutes
Okay.
left, I think.
So I put the training, all the stuff I've been imagining, I put into training and into courses and lesson plans and diagrams and color coding, and I put it all on the internet. And um, I was thinking it would be people in the US that would do it. And then for some reason, out it was just a strange occurrence where this person called me because he saw my number on WhatsApp and he was in Africa. And he says, it was kind of off, but he goes, is this a number to call to get girls? And I was like, I go,
Um,
no,
no.
no, you got the wrong number, but I train leaders. Are you a leader? And he says, yes, I am. And I said, okay, well, if you are, go take my leadership training and then get back to me. And so he did. He went and did the training. And then he was at university in Rwanda, and he started inviting all his friends at the university. Then they invited friends, and suddenly I was on 7 campuses in Rwanda, and we have about 250 students who are graduating right now. So this was a few years ago. Now they've all graduated, and they're lawyers and teachers and animal, what is that? Animal scientists, veterinarians. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word.
Mhm.
Just all kinds of people, city planners. They all know me by name. They call me mentor, and they are part of ARC 7. So it's pretty amazing because at the time they were all just brought into these universities that are very far from home, and they didn't know anyone. And so now they not only knew people right there in their university, but they knew people on 7 different campuses. And we are having all these group chats on WhatsApp, and we were organizing roles and we intend to build an arcology there.
Excellent. Do you have any idea kind of timeline wise what that might look like? How soon do you think something like that might happen?
You
I mean, I
know,
know that there's a lot of variables in there.
it is. There are. The main thing is money, always, right?
Right.
And in the US, the way that we would do it is do like it would be like a condo with a HOA. And then the banks wouldn't even have to have any special understanding of what's going on there. It's just a condo with an HOA. And then we could just pre-sale, right? And get the money, hire the contractor, build. Done. But there, it's going to have to be, there's no money. They don't have money. They don't really use money a lot. And so, in order to make it happen there, I believe we would have to have a philanthropist come in and say, I'll pay for the library, I'll pay for the clinic, something like that, and just build it, and then once they see the productivity that can happen there, the self-sufficiency, and the way that the children will be raised then in an environment like that and know how to build the next one and the next one. I really think that it just is a matter of building that first one that will really change lives.
Yeah, because what kind of impact could the ARC-7 arcology have if this model is replicated in multiple communities worldwide? What kind of impact do you envision?
I believe it would be the end of poverty, inequality, loneliness, burnout, end forever. Not just now, but for the next generation, because you pass it to your children and they pass it to their children. And so the way that we have our system set up is we don't sell it. Well, you buy it, but you don't sell it. You pass it to the next generation. And then that generation grows up wealthy and in a group that's generating income together. So it ends all of the things that we are trying to end globally very suddenly, like that moment, and forevermore, generations to come.
Well, and I know you do have a website. Can you tell us what your website is?
ARC7, ARC7, arcology.com.
So ARC-7 arcology, the number 7. And that's where I know you mentioned the training that's out there. That's all the information, all that is all
Right
referenced
there
right
on the
there.
homepage. Right there on the homepage, I put enough information to where you can either put your name on the mailing list, sign up for the first course, which is lesson 1 of practical spirituality, and you can see enough on the homepage to decide whether it's the right thing for you.
Excellent. And of all the things that with all of this is amazing. It's a great concept to be able to wrap our heads around and think about things a little differently. I'm kind of curious, what would be your take home message for somebody who's hearing this for the first time?
Well, it's a paradigm shift
Mhm.
to just think together instead of the burden of everything being on your own shoulders. I would just say stop doing it alone. That's
That,
it.
that's amazing. I love it. So what you're all doing is it's going to impact so many people, and it's just a matter of knowing it's out there, you know.
Yes,
So
exactly.
So the arc7arcology.com. And again, this has been Trey Foster joining us. I absolutely enjoyed this conversation and getting to know a bit more again of what you're all doing. Uh, we're gonna have to invite you back sometime here in the future to get some updates and see how things are all going. But
Yeah.
again, Trey, so happy to have you with us. Michael, as always love having you here too. And we will be back again week after week. This is our most fun night of the week.